Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Resident Evil 4 on Professional difficulty. This is my no damage guide for the hardest difficulty. We are on 4 I'm almost certain it's 4-3. I've got a stack of files to put commentaries on, and I can't exit out without ruining the session. So we have a fire blower here, as well as one of the old men. They all have names. I have the bottle caps for them. But I think this is a pretty long chapter, and it's long for one reason, the insect fight. And I was tempted to put that in fast forward mode, but instead I left it in real time, and I'll just do some side tangents during it because it's just, I went back a few times and saved it, and that's what you should do too, especially on this next fight too, because they don't give you a checkpoint anywhere that I know of until you get to the dual Gigante fight. In one of the other videos too, I mentioned that you can manipulate these barrels. Some of the barrels always give you nothing, so you should remember to just observe that fact, because some give you, it will give you a random drop, and the other one will just give nothing. So it's trust me, I've been manipulating barrels a long time in this game. Not that I have a lot of time with this game under my belt. I'm just saying, with the time I've spent with it, I've done a lot of barrel manipulation. But this is a pretty tricky encounter, and whenever I see these old men climbing, I just feel kind of sorry for them. But not really so much when they're throwing stuff at me, to be brutally honest, because every one of my deaths on all of these situations is from somebody throwing shit at me. Every time. It's never anything else. Maybe 5% of the time, but the other 90% is enemies throwing shit. And it's a damn shame that it has to happen like that, but I mean, this game is so fine-tuned that you can knock a projectile out of the air with your knife if you're skilled or lucky enough. Most times I'm just lucky enough to get that to happen, because I'm not even trying to, okay, so all I'll say about this is just look for them to see when they're grabbing something out of their pocket or out of their bag, wherever it's supposed to be, because they have an unlimited supply of projectiles. So as I mentioned a couple of times elsewhere, I'm never going to be sugarcoating my guides and telling you that I'm not saving it or hiding edits and going back and saving it, because anytime you disrupt the flow of video, you can tell. Even with the best editing, there's always some way to tell. And in my particular instance, sometimes when I don't close Sony Vegas, you'll see a little black blip between clips, and that's just a marked tell that there's an edit there. So a lot of the times, I'm trying to be all secretive about editing, just to make the video look really nice, and I get that little blip from time to time, and it's pretty annoying. But I have a pretty outdated software. I mean, the program that I used to render these files, it cost $500. I'm not one of those people that pirate stuff, because I don't believe in that, and also I don't know how to do that. If I did know how to do that, I wouldn't do it anyway, just because of my morals about that. I don't respect people that pirate games, pirate software. If you want it, just buy it. If you're going to use it that much and you like it that much, just buy it. There's that old argument of, well, I wasn't going to buy it anyway. That's what my brother says, and that's just bullshit. So what I'm trying to do is get headshots with the Red 9, because there must be some data somewhere about the critical modifier on this. But when I examine this gun and look at the statistics of it, it doesn't say anything about a critical. But I've been told that it has one, and it does for the headshots. Sometimes you just get a random pop of a head, and it makes you feel really good. And you can take down the Dr. Salvadors, that is the chainsaw guys, pretty good with this weapon. Although the tried and true method is just to down them with a shotgun, knife them on the ground, and then when they get up again, start shotgunning them in their face as much as you can see it with that bag on it. And anyway, so what we have to do is pull the trolley, and this trolley, see, some of these cutscenes I'm always obliged to edit them out, but I don't like to do that sometimes when, first of all, they're really prevalent in a game and it's very demanding to do that, especially in an environment like in my room right now. It's pretty warm, so I've had to have the fan on in a couple of videos, and you could probably hear it in the background. Wow, I love that. That feels so good when that happens. So you need to pull that trolley down, because inside the trolley there's some dynamite which we'll need to blow up the boulder. And all I'll say is just save your stuff for the next fight, because you'll need some moderate amount of weaponry to take down one of the El Gigantes. One of them can be dispatched in the little hole on the ground in the next room, but you can't get two. I searched. I wanted to reinvent the wheel. That's my kind of attitude. I wanted to see if I can get both of them down. Try to reinvent the wheel. Try to think about something else that nobody else thought about. And then after a while, I just kind of gave up and went on YouTube and tried to find somebody doing it. And I don't think it exists. You just can't pull both of them into the lava. But anyway, before you come over here, I would recommend. Anyway, yeah, there was a little edit right there of the cutscene. So what you want to do is come up here now. You're gonna have villagers dropping off, and then the chainsaw man. I've died, like I said, more to projectiles than anything than any chainsaw in this game. Any stick of dynamite. Well, that's a projectile. This is the best tactic that I could figure out for myself over here. So what I'm gonna do is just have everybody come up here. Damn, that was close right there. That was so fucking close that Leon turned his head around. So what you want to do is come up here. The only enemy that you can't knife off the platform is Dr. Salvador. And strangely, they must have known about this, because they prevent him from getting knocked off the ladder. So it kind of is bizarre that they would just let all these enemies. I mean, was that part of their design choice to let this happen? But anyway, there's two threats when you're up here: projectile throwers and Dr. Salvador. And that's kind of a weird name for him, but I'm just going with the bottle caps to tell that he is. So what I'm doing over here is I'm just looking for anybody to make a move to grab something from their back and throw it. And then when I see him, I throw him down with the shotgun and then just knife the rest. Most of the time I could see when they're throwing something. And in the game's defense, it doesn't go through the geometry. Not hardly ever. It doesn't go through the geometry. It stops at the edge of the geometry. I mean, some of these, watch the throws. They'll stop right on the corner, and it goes no further. Now I've got hit with enemies trying to melee me through geometry, but more so, or excuse me, less projectiles going through the geometry and more of melee attacks going through the geometry. So anyway, we're just gonna finish this guy off here. But there is no checkpoint, so what I would say is just before this fight, you might want to save it. And he took a final slash to take down, and I didn't go back and save it over here, and that's why I was sweating a little bit when these guys started throwing projectiles. So you want to pull this lever, get the dynamite over here. You could see Leon turning his head, and there's a velvet blue right there. That's the dynamite. I've heard that it can be destroyed with the RPG, but what I would recommend to you is that you just avoid trying to do something like that. I mean, I hate to lecture people in these guides. I don't like to do that. I like to just say that, I would recommend that you do this, because after all, it is a guide and a walkthrough. But sometimes things have to be, if I'm really struggling on a part and I have to emphasize certain things, it kind of lends itself to a lecture. I mean, even look at the detail. The guy's hat falls off when he knifed him. This game is marvelous. But anyway, what I did before I went through the door, which is a checkpoint, I went back and saved it, and I picked up the rocket launcher. And it's going to trivialize this fight up here, but I was thinking to myself, why not just spend $30,000, then waste a bunch of ammunition that I can't rebuy at the store because they don't sell that stuff. So the reason I suspect that you can't knock these guys, both of them, in the pit, is because you'll get this animation here, or not. It's a cutscene where it's either that or it just opens and they don't go in it. So I don't think they even have an animation for both of the giants going in there. So I think you should be able to. But anyway, watch out for that. And then funny story happened to me over here. I killed both of these guys, and then one of the guys grabbed me. He almost grabs me right here. So just be very careful and let him drown before you wander too close, because you'll have to do that part over, which admittedly it only takes like 10 seconds when you have the rocket launcher. But they're just too resilient to attacks. But anyway, now we have a really boring section with these insects. And what I will say to this is that I went back twice and saved it. What we're trying to do here, you can get a lot of gold from these guys, a lot of drops. And the best thing to do is just listen for them. This enemy just disgusts me. I have no problems with it as an enemy, as much as I really don't like flyers in games, but it's just that I find it kind of abhorrent as just an enemy type, because I hate insects in real life. So these guys they get under my skin, and it's really uncomfortable whenever I fight these guys. So my best advice is that after each wave, make a run for the this is what I do. I fight until there is no more sounds of flapping of wings or the pitter-pattering of their feet on the ground running towards me, and then I go back and save it. It's about 4 waves of these guys, but fortunately the door right before this area is in green letters, and you can just go back and save it at any point, and you get a ton of merchandise. And also right before the trap of torture that concludes this, they do put a checkpoint in there, because I died to that, and I was thinking to myself, well, that's pretty horrible that they do that, but they give you a checkpoint. So it's it's just up to you, whatever you want to do. Shotgun is just the best all around here. Now you might want to use the striker for a wider blast radius if you want to, but I believe you sacrifice the strength of the weapon at range, so watch out for that. And obviously whenever they're flying and you hit them, it acts as a means to kill them instantly. But sometimes the hits have to be pretty particular on their bodies. Sometimes they tend to really absorb your damage, but I think that's all I'll talk about this, because it's so pointless and repetitive and just utterly dull and boring. So let's see, what else did I want to talk about? A lot of people have been giving me a lot of praise for the hard work I've been putting in for these guides. I have begun staggering the uploads so that a lot of the videos that you see, they're generally uploaded by me about 2 weeks before you see them. So that is one issue, I suppose, where people think that, the uploads, like I just did the commentary like that day that I uploaded it, or close to it, not like 2 weeks ago. So it does kind of put a time gap in between them, but it's really the only way of staying on top of the uploads, because ideally I like to have at least one video go up every day. That's more than most channels can do. I mean, some of these bigger channels, it doesn't even matter to them. You'll see, they haven't uploaded a video in 4 days, a week. I've never gone that long, I don't think, without uploading a video. It's usually every day. Sometimes I purposely don't upload a video, just because, maybe if it's a Sunday, or maybe if I'm out of the house and I just, but I can't understand how some of these channels are so popular. Like, even, like, my brother was with us for a while over here, and he was watching some Total Biscuit videos. And I used to watch Total Biscuit a little bit, but I just don't understand how so many people, unless these people are botting with their views, or I don't know, unless they have a lot of contacts that make multiple fake accounts. But I think these bigger channels would get in trouble for that, obviously, because they'd be under more scrutiny. But I just don't understand how so many people can be magnetized to like one individual. Take anybody that has like even 200,000 or even 2 million subs. I just, it's just a depressing popularity game, and it mimics the whole issue that I always faced in like high school and college of not being the person that was popular. And it sucks because people just, that's the bottom line, they're not magnetized to you. They're not interested in you. They're apathetic towards you, unless you're getting bullied, which is pretty shitty. But I don't know. Is it just a bunch of kids that are on here and they're gullible or something? Like, I think the worst content provider on that I've seen of late is the Rad Brad. The guy he plays so casually and he has so many subscribers, and I just wish I lived in a world where the Godfather Dictator had those many subs, or anybody, because that guy, he puts in the time, man. I do too. I'm just saying, like, that kind of output that you do doesn't deserve all the subscribers, and it's just bullshit. I mean, I think I should have at least 25,000, but people just aren't interested in me. They're not interested. They can't find my content, probably. Maybe they're not looking for it. Maybe they're intimidated because they think I'm really good at games. I'm good at them because I put in a lot of time. Some games I'm terrible at. Some games I don't even touch because if they're in first person, I avoid them like the plague. Sorry to have that metaphor there, but anyway, I should say that every time you come into one of the caves and grab one of the 2 tablets that you need for the puzzle, you're going to spawn some of these enemies, and I think that's one of the only hard parts over here, because it's just, you have to know that, and if you don't, if you're not at the mouth of one of these caverns, you're going to be in big trouble because they're going to come right at you. But they give you time, that's the thing, they give you time to get here. So what I would say that if you're a little bit uncertain about your accuracy, you may want to pick up the Striker for this, because it will help you compensate for inaccuracy. But if you want raw power at range, this is the best weapon. And if you're pretty good, pretty good shot. So all I'm really doing here is I'm just looking for listening for these guys to just all go away. And I hope I didn't come off as really ignorant about not knowing about how these fucking channels have so many subscribers, but I don't know, and I would like to know, how do you have 600,000 subscribers? How does that happen? Like, you're not doing anything that's interesting. I don't know. I think people are just, I honestly think there's a lot of people too that have like 16 million subs. Like, it must be a bunch of kids that don't know any better. That's the only thing I can think of. Because my demographic is, like I said before, anyway, I put an edit right here. So I would definitely, this is the hardest part, because when you come up here, not even the flash grenades stun these guys, which is, I mean, it stuns them for about a second or 2, maybe 3 seconds at the very most, but as you're trying to run past them, you're likely to get grabbed. And if you get grabbed, I've never been able to do the waggling of the analog stick without taking damage. Never. I don't think it lets you do it. But what else was I going to say? Yeah, my demographic is, according to the analytics, it's mostly, I'm sorry I'm talking a little bit too loudly, but it's mostly 25 to 34. And I also saw some statistic that there's like less than 1% of like 90-year-old men watching my content. That must be, if you're if you're 90 years old and you're watching my channel, just fuck you. You shouldn't be. If you're 90 years old, you should be focusing on your health, not watching video game commentaries. Obviously that's not true. It's just people faking their age, but I saw that and I was a little bit confused. Like, why would somebody who's 90 years old be watching my content when they should be, trying to salvage the last 10 years of their lives, if they live that long, which I hope they do, because I'm not trying to diss anybody for being old. But anyway, I hope everybody is enjoying this content, because I'm really enjoying playing this game. It's addicting. and it has my seal of approval definitely for impeccable mechanics. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a run for it pretty soon, but I think I hear more enemies. Anytime you see me surveying this cavern, it's because I hear something and I'm trying to locate these guys. So I wasted a couple of... See, my predicament now as far as my munitions is that I have very few rifle... I mean, you can see the contents of my case if you pause it. I have very few rifle shells, so what I'm going to have to do is just conserve those and do fewer headshots, do some more meleeing until I can compensate for get some more. I don't mind that you can't purchase them in this game because it's just like Devil May Cry. You can't buy... you can't buy the important things that you need. Just anyway, so when you come in here, these guys, they can't come in here. So if you do want to get some shots, you can. But I don't know exactly where the checkpoint is. It might be the point at which you pull the lever. It might be the point where you open the door. I think it's the latter. But the jewels that they drop are very, very they're plentiful as well as valuable, so you definitely want to pick those up and sell them because they only go in the butterfly lamp, which there's 2 of, and I've already collected those 2 and put the jewels in there. But anyway, I did die to this section and I can't remember. Oh, I know where I put the edit mark. It's over here somewhere. But if you die over here, don't worry about it because you get a save. And also, in the last Trap of Torture that we did, where I was uncertain on if there's a checkpoint, it kind of gives me some hope that maybe they would put a checkpoint over there for you. And the Trap of Torture that I'm mentioning is the one with the saw blades on it. Or well, there weren't saw blades, there was something else. Just, there were blades. Blades of Chaos. Man, I can't wait for God of War 3. Take care.